Hello, parents, and welcome to the Student Ministries 2021-2022 orientation video. I'm so glad you could join me here. I apologize for this headset I have to wear. My other microphone was not working, so this is going to look a little bit like a video game stream, but at least you can hear me, which is the important part. So thank you guys for tuning into this video. I appreciate it. If you have questions about student ministries, if you're new to student ministries, if you've never been to an orientation meeting or never watched one of these videos, there's going to be a lot of helpful information here, a lot of good stuff. So I'm glad you are here. I'm going to try to also keep it pretty short. I know life is busy these days. First off, to introduce myself, I'm Craig Castells. I'm the Associate Pastor of Student Ministries here. I'm in my middle of my fourth year here at Aspen Ridge Church as the pastor of Student Ministries. I started attending here, though, about a year before that. So I actually fell in love with Aspen Ridge as a church home before I started being the youth pastor here. So it's kind of a cool set of events. Ask me about it sometime if you'd like to know more. To introduce my family a little bit, here is my wife Becky, our oldest Kirk, our middle child Brooklyn, our youngest is Alexis, and she is only the youngest for a little while. We're actually expecting a fourth come January sometime. And so we're excited to have another one of these little adorable ones at home. Been really blessed to raise them. Okay, looking at Deviate Student Ministries, I kind of want to give you a little bit of an overview and a little bit of a look at the mentality of student ministries first, because I think it will help you as a parent position student ministries uh, well in life. You know what I mean? It's kind of one of those things. So first off, Deviate Student Ministries is an extension of Aspen Ridge Church. It's a part of Aspen Ridge Church, and so I don't know how familiar you are with Aspen Ridge. Maybe you attend here regularly. Maybe just your students are a part of the student ministries. Wherever you're at, I encourage you to check out the Aspen Ridge website. If you have any like doctrinal questions, any values or missional type questions, Aspen Ridge's website will be able to answer all of that for you. I don't know if you have a church home. If you don't have a church home, I would encourage you to check out Aspen Ridge. It's an awesome church. I think I mentioned earlier. I fell in love. Me and my wife fell in love with this church before I started working here. We were attending here back in 2014 when we moved up to Conifer. So 2014 or 15, somewhere in there. But yeah, so awesome church. If you're looking for like a family home, it's a great place. They have a really killer children's ministry here. All of my kids are in the children's ministry. They're all little ones, and so yeah, just a lot of great stuff. But mostly like I said, if you have questions about student ministries or the church's doctrinal, theological values, mission, all that kind of stuff is on the Aspen Ridge website. So check that out. Okay, when we dig into the Bible, there's a lot to be said about parenting and about raising your kids to follow God and all kinds of different things. One of my favorite passages on this comes actually from the Old Testament. It comes out of Deuteronomy chapter 6. And in this passage, Moses is addressing the people of Israel, and he's talking about a whole bunch of things, but he's talking very much about the future that they're going to have with God. And for a minute during his dialogue, he kind of redirects at parents, and he talks to parents for just a second. And in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4, he says this. He excuse me. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home, when you walk along the road, when you lie down, and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates. Now it's interesting because he he's talking to the people of Israel, and then he looks at parents and talks to parents a little bit about this. But when he starts this, he actually starts by talking about us as parents. First, he says, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength." And this is actually a passage that Jesus references. Jesus in the New Testament, when he is asked what is the greatest commandment that we can keep, the greatest commandment is love the Lord your God with all of who you are. And so basically when Moses is talking about parenting, he first looks at parents and says, parents, your relationship with God, your own walk with God is so important when it comes to raising your kids. We're supposed to have a dynamic relationship with God. We're supposed to have an ongoing relationship with God in order to pass that along to our kids. And so it's an interesting thing because I think sometimes we want our kids to grow up this way or that way. But what this is talking about is modeling a spiritual life for our kids. Then he goes into talking about some very specific times and places to talk with your kids about the things of God. He says, when you lie down, when you get up, when you walk along the road, when you sit at home, meal time. It's all these specific times. But to me, when I read this, I'm like, man, this is like every day, all day. This is like all the little drives here and there at mealtime, at bedtime, at morning time. It's like, we're to have a relationship with God, and then we're all to talk about this with our kids and disciple, in essence, raise our kids and teach them these kind of things all the time. And it's a really cool picture of this, but it's also a somewhat frightening picture of this. As a parent, you're like, oh man, that's a lot of responsibility on me. But yeah, I mean, this is a beautiful little kind of excerpt of what I think God's plan for us raising our kids is. So when you boil down to youth group and you boil down to student ministries, I don't want you to look at student ministries as like the school for spiritualness. Like our kids, often we send them off to school, and they are taught what they need to know, and then they come home. And maybe we help them with homework, but we're not teaching them everything. Unless you're homeschooling your kids, then you are teaching them. But normal school, you send your kids to school, and then they come home and they've learned what they needed to know. Spiritual parenting makes us the primary disciplers as parents, and then youth group is an awesome supplement to what we're already doing. So when you look at this passage and you look at a couple of takeaways, I have two big takeaways that I want to leave you with. The first is this: we as parents are the primary spiritual influences in our students' lives. Now, you might be hearing that and thinking, well, I already knew that. That's not new to me. I already knew that. Or maybe you're looking at this and saying, oh man, I'm the primary spiritual influence in my kid's life. Uh-oh, like this isn't good, and wherever you're at, it's okay. You know what, as a parent myself, I find myself in both of those camps often. Yes, I know I'm the primary influence, but man, I hope Kirk doesn't pick this up from me, or man, I hope Kirk didn't see me do that, or you know what I mean? Like I think there's a little bit of prayer and terror mixed together in this, but we as parents are the primary spiritual influences in our kids' lives. So knowing that, like I said, Deviate is a wonderful supplement to that. And what I'm hoping to do as the pastor here is to help put tools in your tool belt, in essence, for parenting and spiritually discipling your kids. And so I listed here a few things. The first is resources. We have a bunch of different resources that I come across, and sometimes I make them available to parents. This year, I'm kind of emphasizing this book right here. It's called The Legacy Path. How do I get that? There we go. The Legacy Path, Discovering Intentional Spiritual Parenting. It's by Brian Haynes. And this is an awesome book. This is an awesome book. I read this last year, and yeah, it's really great food for thought as far as how can we as parents take intentional steps in raising our kids to follow God. And I bought a whole bunch of these books, and they are available to you as a parent of a Deviate student for free. They are on the bottom shelf of the resource shelf in the back of the student center, or you're welcome to just come talk to me and I'll grab you one. but I bought those specifically for you to have to take a look at. I think no matter how good or bad you are at discipling your kids, I think this is a great resource to reevaluate and look at things and get some new ideas maybe. So check that out. Teaching calendars. What I try to do for most of my lessons, maybe not all of them, but for most of my lessons, I try to get in your hands what I'm going to be teaching about before I teach about it. So in the monthly parent email, you're going to sometimes see, hey, this is what is coming up as far as teaching goes on a midweek basis for youth group. And my hope behind that is not only so you know what we're talking about, what we're going through, what they're learning at youth group, but my hope is that on the home front, you as parents can also maybe go towards those topics and those things and continue that discipleship at home. You get many more hours with your students than I do here at church, and so if you're able to tackle the same topics we're talking about, it's kind of a 1-2 punch, if you will, as far as discipleship goes in our students' lives. And so that's the idea behind the teaching calendar. Um, Monthly updates. I have a monthly parent email that goes out, and that's going to kind of update you on different things. But that will also be just a great little opportunity to take a minute out of your day and pause and think about parenting. You know, sometimes if you're anything like me, I get so busy parenting that I don't think about parenting. You know what I mean? And so I hope that that's a nice little respite for you. I often will try to put little articles in there that I've come across as far as mm, topics that students deal with or parenting or school related things. And so it's a great little time to just kind of read and relax and you know, keep up to date on what's going on in student ministries. Family opportunities is the last thing I listed here, and what I mean by that is in student ministries we get a lot of extracurricular things going on. We go see movies, we go do service projects, we go do all kinds of different things, and a lot of those I open up to the family as a whole, so that you can have fun with your students in the student ministry context and make this kind of a family ministry type thing. And so keep an eye out for opportunities like that. All of our student things, you know, most of our student things, students alone can come to as well. But I don't ever want you as a parent to feel like you can't come. And I want you maybe even to find a fun one and have some fun with your kids at it and maybe come see a movie or something with us. There's a lot of cool things that go on, and you'll see that in the calendars or in the monthly parent email list that comes out. But utilize those. Sometimes they give you opportunities that you might not think of, or things you've never done before, or you know, whatever that looks like. So um, okay, the second takeaway, when you look at this passage in Deuteronomy and when you look at Deviate Student Ministries, the second takeaway is that community is important. When Moses is talking to the people of Israel, this little excerpt I read for you, he's talking specifically to parents, but he's addressing the community as a whole. And when you get into the New Testament, you start talking about churches. Man, it is so vital to be plugged into a believing community. Not only for your kids, but for your family as well. And so community is important. And that's where Aspen Ridge really shines. I think it's a great place for people of all ages. And when you're talking about Deviate Student Ministry specifically, um, I listed a number of the things that we hope to accomplish here. The first is other spiritual role models. Now, I'm the pastor here at Aspen Ridge of Student Ministries, but I have a team of really awesome teachers and leaders, and they're all involved in these students' lives as well. And so it's a really great way to see. I see students all the time that gravitate towards this leader or that one, and all my leaders come from different walks of life, and they're all just awesome people. And so it's a great place to find other spiritual role models in your kids' lives. The second thing I listed here is echoing biblical advice. I think I might have talked about this a little bit earlier. But sometimes as a parent, I tell my kids things so much that they just start to say, yeah, okay, Dad, whatever you say. Yeah, you told me that already. But then somebody else tells them the same exact thing, and they're like honed in, like, oh, I will listen to that. Yeah, that's good advice. And it's frustrating as a parent. But but what's beautiful is that Here at Aspen Ridge Student Ministries, we're going to be giving your kids biblical advice, and when they're getting it on the home front already, it's going to be echoing that same thing, and just having multiple voices say the same thing is often really beneficial for students. So, um, peers seeking God. This is a great place to meet other kids seeking God. Like it sometimes, especially these days, Christians can feel pretty alone, at school or in different circles. And this is a great place to find kids at all different stages of their spiritual walk, seeking after God. The lasting impact of youth group, I hope that this is geared in a way that has lasting impact in your students' lives. And I read studies that talk about kids walking away from the faith or different things, but there's also a glimmer of hope in those, because what I also see is that when kids come from like an authentically Christian home, and they have, like, I think it's 4 or 5 other people, other Christians pouring into their lives, they are many, many, many times more likely to hold on to their faith for a lifetime. And it's such a beautiful thing. And so my hope is that we're planting the seeds for lasting impact here in student ministries, and helping you be equipped as a parent to disciple on the home front as well. So, okay, looking at specifics. Specifics for student ministries. Now, this is going to be like times, dates, that kind of, well, not so much dates, but times, anyways. Um, we are kicking off this next week, September 8th and 9th, for the school year. And during the school year, our schedule looks like this. It's Wednesdays, our middle school youth group, 6:30 to 8 p.m. Thursdays, our high school youth group, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. So that is a little half an hour longer there. On the weekends, we have basically Sunday school or classes or weekend deviate, whatever you want to call it. We have weekend deviate during our Sunday services. So we're in one service right now. We're moving into 2 services later in the year, but we'll have something available for middle and high school age students during all of our Sunday services. If you come to the Saturday night service, we don't have anything there, so just attend as a family, and that's a very important thing too, is attending church as a family. So. We have a number of big events that happen throughout the year. Well, all of these happen during the summer, I should say. But these big events, I tell you about them right now, even though summer is a long ways away. I tell you about them right now because they're somewhat costly financially, but they are also like so impactful, so powerful in the kids' lives, that they're really important. But I just don't want to drop a big surprise on you come springtime. You know what I mean? But we have a middle school camp and we have a high school camp that we do during the summertime. Both of those are like 5-day camps. This last year they were down in New Mexico. Both of those were, and that was an awesome experience. But those camps are, like I said, they're 4 or 5-day camps. We go on a trip and we hang out together. It's a beautiful experience because it pulls kids out of the normal, the routine, and it puts them in a place with a bunch of other kids seeking God and looking at the teachings that the camp teachers have, and it's just a really powerful experience. It's a really great experience. Both of those camps, they end up being about $500 each, $500 a student, and so, like I said, it's not a small commitment financially, but it is a really great thing. So I want to just kind of put it in your mind right now. I don't have the dates for any of these at this point in time, but a parent email will go out with the dates when I do get those. On an every other year basis, a biennial basis, we have a missions trip, a foreign missions trip that I lead. And the last one was supposed to be this summer. It was slated this summer. We had everything booked, and COVID lockdowns kind of locked down that area of Mexico. And so we ended up canceling the trip, but we had a number of families sign up for that thing. The missions trip is, if you're sending a single student, they have to be in high school. I don't open that to middle school. But it's for high schoolers or families from the church that would like to participate. And the last couple of years, we've done 2 or 3 of them to Mexico. We partner with missionaries from our church and we go to Mexico, but I don't know, I can't guarantee that it will be where everyone goes. It's just been a really great experience the last few years in Mexico. That missions trip varies in cost, but it is also a very costly thing if you're looking at that. And the next one of those is in 2023, so it's a ways out. But General information, if you have any questions after watching this video, or any questions anytime, feel free to reach out. The best ways to stay connected are right here on your screen. The number one best way is to sign up for the parent newsletter, parent email list. And how you do that is you go to the Aspen Ridge website there and you click on the students tab. I think it's groups, students, and then there's a yellow button, and that's where you can sign up for the parent email list. That's the most comprehensive way to get information about what's going on in student ministries. But we also have a Facebook page and an Instagram page, our Instagram account. I don't know, whatever it's called. But you can keep up on stuff there as well. Some of those are mostly just like fun. Here's what's going on, pictures and stuff like that. So make sure to sign up for the parent newsletter or email list if you're not on it. If you ever have any questions or want to just reach out, here is my contact information. Email is the best way. Hey, just 1 second. Email is the best way to connect with me, and it kind of goes in the log, and I can get to it when it's best. But you can also text me or call me. My cell is there, and the church phone number is there as well. But feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to talk. I love working with students and being a part of their lives and watching them grow up. And thank you as a parent for letting us raise your kids with you. We're here for you. We're in your corner. And yeah, it's a blessing. So thank you again for watching this video, and I hope to catch you soon. Bye bye.